Hello everybody, welcome back, and in today's video we'll be discussing another very important endgame called the Philidor position, and the position I have here is just that. And this position is a draw for black, despite being a pawn down. So when you're defending a rook endgame, this is the position you should be aiming for, because you can draw this position. So in this position, black's first move is very important, and that's rook to h6. What this does is just cuts off white's control of the 6th rank. And if you try other moves like rook f7, the problem is rook to a8, and you have to deal with things like rook a7, which is pretty annoying. And this is still a draw though, but it just makes it a little more difficult than it should be. Rook h6 is much simpler. So on here, white tries rook to g7 check, pushing the black king back to e8. Now here, white waits with rook b7, hoping black will give up control of this rank, but he definitely won't do that because he just waits too with rook g6. So now white needs to advance his king to either one of these squares, and he does that by e6. Now this rook no longer controls this square on d6, and white's trying to play king d6 here. Now this next move is very important, and that's rook to g1. What you basically want to do is deliver checks from behind, which dislodges white's king from those crucial squares. Other moves like rook g2 work, but you want to get in the habit of moving your rook to the furthest distance away from the opponent's king, because that gives you more room to check them, and you don't want to get in trouble with the king coming too close to the rook. So on king to d6, rook d1 check, king e5, rook e1, king f5, rook f1. And by now I think you see the problem for white. White just doesn't have any safe squares away from these checks. On king g4, rook g1, and if you go too far with king f3, rook e1 just picks up the e6 pawn. This pawn is going to be lost, and it's going to be a draw. So instead of king d6 immediately, what if you just try rook b4, So on check, you can play rook to d4. Problem is, on rook takes d4, king takes d4, king e7, king e5, king e8, king d6, king d8, e7, king e8, king e6. This is stalemate, and white cannot win this position. I hope this helps you in your future games. Thanks for watching. See you next time.